The gallery's spotlights burned like accusations, pinning me in place as Daniel's canvas loomed over the crowd, a swirling vortex of crimson and shadow that screamed triumph. My heart slammed against my ribs, not from envy alone, but from the way his fingers, those goddamn elegant fingers, still lingered in my mind, smudged with ochre and promise. "You stole it," I hissed under my breath, the words tasting like bile, even as every nerve in me screamed to trace the veins mapping his knuckles. New York City chewed you up and spat you out if you weren't careful, and on that sticky July evening in 2023, felt like the Big Apple was grinding its teeth just for me. I'd clawed my way into the Brooklyn art scene with nothing but a beat-up easel, a trust fund dropout's grit, and sketches that bled my secrets onto the page. My name's Alex Rivera, 28, queer as a $3 bill, and perpetually one bad review away from crashing on my buddy Zachary's couch in Bushwick. Zach was the steady one, tall, broad-shouldered, with a laugh that could defuse a bomb, and a boyfriend, Caleb, who baked sourdough like it was therapy. They were my anchor in this sea of hipster pretension, the kind of guys who dragged me to queer poetry slams and made sure I ate something green once a week. But that night at the Williamsburg Gallery opening, it was the night everything fractured. The space was a converted warehouse, all exposed brick and Edison bulbs dangling like nooses. The air hummed with the low buzz of indie folk from a playlist someone curated to sound edgy, and the crowd curators in ironic glasses, collectors nursing overpriced IPAs, swarmed the walls like locusts. My piece hung in the corner, fractured echoes, a mixed media explosion of layered acrylics and charcoal, depicting a lover's silhouette dissolving into urban decay. It was raw, vulnerable, the kind of work that stripped you bare, inspired by the ghost of my ex, Jamie, who'd ghosted me 2 years back after I came out harder than he could handle. I nursed a warm gin and tonic, scanning the room for validation, when the murmurs started. Heads turned toward the entrance, and there he was, Daniel Hale, the golden boy of the scene. 29, with that effortless wasp polish, blonde waves tousled just so, jawline sharp enough to cut glass, and eyes like smoked quartz that missed nothing. He wore a fitted black button-down rolled to the elbows, sleeves hugging forearms corded from years of wielding brushes like weapons. But it was his hands that gutted me every time. Long-fingered, scarred from palette knives, veins prominent like rivers on a map. Hands that created masterpieces while mine fumbled for scraps. He'd risen fast, this interloper from some Ivy League haze in Connecticut, crashing the NYC circuit with shows that sold out faster than Taylor Swift tickets. Critics called him a virtuoso of emotional abstraction, which was code for, he makes pain look pretty. I'd hated him since our first run-in at a Pratt life drawing class 2 years ago, where he'd sketched the model with such fluid precision that my own lines felt like kindergarten scribbles. "It's not about perfection," he'd said then, glancing at my sheet with a smirk that said otherwise. "It's about truth, bullshit." His truth was privilege wrapped in canvas. Tonight, his new series dominated the far wall. Veins of Betrayal, 5 massive panels pulsing with deep indigos and golds, figures entangled in thorns that looked suspiciously like the barbed wire I'd woven into my own motifs last spring. The crowd ate it up, cooing over the visceral intimacy. I edged closer, heart pounding, until I saw it, the faint underlayer, peeking through a glaze. My signature swirl, the one I'd shared in a late-night critique group 6 months back. He'd been there, nursing a beer, nodding like he gave a damn. Now this, "You son of a bitch," I muttered, slamming my glass down on a passing tray. The liquid sloshed, drawing a few glances, but I didn't care. I shoved through the throng. Zach's voice calling my name from across the room. Alex. Chill. Man. Fading behind me. Daniel was mid-conversation with a silver-haired gallerist, his laugh low and magnetic, when I tapped his shoulder. Hard. He turned, those quartz eyes locking on mine, and for a split second, surprise flickered, genuine, almost boyish. Then the mask slipped back. Cool. Praising. Rivera, he drawled, voice like velvet over gravel, that faint East Coast lilt making my skin prickle. Loving the new work. That dissolution technique? Chef's kiss. Cut the crap. Hail. My voice cracked. Louder than intended. Head swiveling. Those thorns? The layering? That's mine. You lifted it straight from my drafts. The gallerist cleared her throat, excusing herself with a polite smile that screamed scandal. Daniel's expression didn't budge, but his fingers flexed, subtle, unconscious, curling around the stem of his wine glass. God, even that motion was art. Precise, controlled, the pads of his thumbs brushing the crystal like a caress. Accusations like that could tank a career. Alex, he said softly, stepping closer. Too close. The heat off him cut through the room's chill. His cologne, something woody, expensive, invading my space. You think I'd need to steal from you? We're in the same orbit. Ideas bleed together. Bleed. I laughed. Bitter. Shoving a finger toward his chest. It hovered there, inches from the crisp fabric. My pulse thundering. That's rich. Coming from the guy who orbits success like it's his birthright. I shared that in confidence. Daniel. A Jake's critique. You were there. His gaze dropped to my hand, then back up, something unreadable flashing. Regret? Amusement? Maybe I was inspired. Art's a conversation, not a vault. He leaned in, voice dropping to a murmur only I could hear. Or maybe you're just projecting your insecurities onto me. Again. The word again hit like a slap. It echoed our Pratt days, when I'd accused him of sleeping his way into a residency, whispers I'd heard about his hookups with the director. Untrue. Probably. But it stuck because I wanted it to. Wanted him to be the villain. Not the guy whose sketches made my chest ache with envy and something darker. Hungrier. I yanked my hand back, heat flooding my face. Fuck you, Daniel. And your conversation. Turning on my heel, I stormed toward the exit, the crowd parting like I was contagious. Outside, the Brooklyn night wrapped around me, humid air thick with distant sirens and the sizzle of street vendors. I leaned against the graffiti-tagged wall, chest heaving, lighting a cigarette with shaking hands. My own fingers looked wrong next to the memory of his. Stubby, stained, forever chasing the grace he wielded so effortlessly. Zach found me 10 minutes later, Caleb trailing with a paper bag of takeout falafel, his peacekeeping ritual. Zach clapped a hand on my shoulder, his grip solid, grounding. Dude, what the hell? You lit him up in there like a Roman candle. He stole my shit. Zach. I exhaled smoke, watching it curl toward the stars hidden by light pollution. Word for word. Layer for goddamn layer. Caleb, with his soft brown curls and earnest hazel eyes, handed me a rap, his voice gentle but firm. Confrontations like that, they make waves. Alex. But evidence, man. You got sketches? Emails? I nodded, but it felt hollow. Evidence wouldn't erase the humiliation. The way Daniel's eyes had stripped me bare. Not with cruelty, but with that piercing curiosity. Like he saw the fractures I hid under bravado. Queer boys like us, we navigated the world with armor. Mine was sarcasm and late-night benders, his, that polished detachment. Yet in the quiet moments, sketching alone in my Astoria walk-up, I catch myself wondering what those hands would feel like. Not on canvas, but on skin. Mapping curves, pressing into hollows. The thought made me sick, furious. I hated him. Hated how he made me feel small, exposed. "Let's crash at ours," Zach said, slinging an arm around me. Caleb's got that new queer rom-com cued. Distraction therapy. I forced a grin, stamping out the cig. Yeah. Fuck Daniel Hale. But as we piled into Zach's beat-up Subaru, weaving through traffic toward Bushwick, his hands haunted me. The way they'd flexed, not in defense, but invitation. A challenge. And damn if part of me didn't want to answer. The next morning hit like a hangover without the fun. Head throbbing from gin and rage. My tiny studio apartment a war zone of half-finished canvases and takeout boxes. Sunlight sliced through the blinds, gilding the dust motes like flecks of gold leaf. I brewed coffee strong enough to strip paint, scrolling Instagram while it dripped. Daniel's feed was a curated fever dream. Studio shots of his process, those hands in eternal motion, dipping brushes, blending hues. One post from last night, a close-up of his palm, smeared with indigo, captioned "When Betrayal Bleeds Blue." Veins of Betrayal NYC art, likes poured in 2K and climbing. Mine? A measly 147 on Fractured Echoes. Asshole. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "We need to talk." Coffee? Neutral ground. D. I stared, thumb hovering. Delete, block, but curiosity, that traitorous bitch, won. Fine. But if you waste my time, I'll key your Maserati. I'd seen it parked outside the gallery, sleek and silver, screaming old money. His reply, "No Maserati. Prius. Less carbon footprint for my sins." 2 p.m. Joe Coffee, Williamsburg. I tossed the phone, pacing. Why agree? To eviscerate him, that's why. Gather my evidence, the dated sketchbook pages, and lay it out like a prosecutor's brief. Make him squirm. By 1:45, I was there early, wedged into a corner table amid the hiss of espresso machines and MacBooks clacking like Morse code. Williamsburg's Joe was a hipster haven, reclaimed wood counters, chalkboard menus scrawled with oat milk specials. I nursed a black drip, flipping through my portfolio on my tablet, nerves jangling. He arrived at 2:01, slipping through the door like he owned the light. Jeans slung low on narrow hips, a faded Gray's papaya tee hugging his chest. Casual, but the kind that cost more than my rent. He spotted me, nodded once, and ordered a flat white, extra hot before sliding into the seat opposite. A close, sans gallery glamour, he looked human. Shadows under his eyes, a faint stubble grazing that jaw. Tired. Vulnerable. Almost. "Alex," he started. No preamble, setting his cup down with deliberate care. Those hands, Jesus. Freckled knuckles. A thin silver ring on his pinky etched with some Latin phrase. I forced my gaze up. Save the charm. Here's the proof. I I shoved the tablet across, pulling up the scans. My original sketches, time-stamped March 14th, the critique night. The swirls, the thorns, identical blueprint. He scrolled, expression unreadable, the steam from his coffee curling between us like a veil. Minutes ticked by, 5, 10, until he sighed, long and low, pushing it back. It's similar. I'll give you that. Similar. I leaned forward, voice a whip. It's a carbon copy. Daniel. You sat there, all earnest nods, then waltzed off with my soul on your USB drive. His eyes met mine, steady, unflinching. I didn't scan it, didn't photograph. But yeah, I remembered. The way you talked about it, barbed intimacy, right? It stuck. Gnawed at me for weeks. Then, boom, fused with my own shit. The veins in my mom's old letters after Dad left. The blue of a bruise that never fades. I blinked. Thrown. Personal. From Mr. Untouchable? So what? That's your excuse? Emotional osmosis. A ghost of a smile tugged his lips. Not mocking, but wry. Call it theft if you want. I'll pull the series early. Credit you in the catalog. Hell, co-sign the damn thing. The offer hung there. Generous. Disarming. Part of me wanted to hurl it back. Scream that no footnote could salve the wound. But another part, quieter, watched his fingers trace the rim of his cup. Slow and rhythmic, like he was painting the porcelain. Hypnotic. Heat pooled low in my gut. Unwanted. Insistent. Why? I asked finally, voice rough. Why not fight it? Sue me for defamation or whatever rich boys do. He shrugged, but his gaze held mine. Intense. Probing. Because you're good, Alex. Raw. And talent like that, it doesn't deserve to be buried under grudge matches. A pause. Then softer. Besides, I get it. The hate. It's easier than admitting we're mirrors. Both chasing the same ghost. The air thickened. Charged. Mirrors? Bullshit. He was the polished one. The success story. I was the scrappy survivor, scraping by on ramen and rejection letters. Yet as he stood, leaving a 20 under his saucer, his hand brushed mine. Accidental, featherlight in retrieving the tablet. Electricity arced, sharp and sweet, lingering like a brand. I'll email the gallerist today, he said, already at the door. Truce, I nodded, mute, watching him melt into the street crowd. Truce. The word tasted like ash and honey. That night, back in my studio, couldn't paint. The blank canvas mocked me, so I cracked a beer and called Zach. He picked up on the second ring. Caleb's laughter muffled in the background. Dinner party vibes. Probably. Spill, Zach demanded. No hello. You ghosted us after coffee. Daniel drama? I recounted it all, the confrontation, the inspiration, the brush of skin that still tingled. Zach whistled low. Sounds like he's cracking your armor, bro. Careful. Caleb says guys like that, they don't truce, they conquer. Caleb chimed in, grabbing the phone. Hey, Alex. Listen, art world's small. Burning bridges feels good till you're swimming the East River. But if he hurt you, we got your back. Come over tomorrow. I've got a fresh loaf and that Merlot you like. Their kindness anchored me. A bomb against the storm Daniel stirred. Queer family, that's what they were. Zach and Caleb had met at a Pride March 5 years back. Fallen hard amid the glitter and chance. Their love was easy, lived in, shared glances over morning coffee, Caleb's hand on Zach's knee during movie nights. I envied it, craved it, but after Jamie, trust felt like a luxury I couldn't afford. Hanging up, I stared at my hands, capable, scarred from years of grit and glue, but clumsy next to his phantom touch. I hated him for that. Hated how he made me want more than hate. Weeks blurred into a fragile détente. Daniel followed through. The gallery issued a joint statement, crediting my influence on Vane's. Sales split 60/40ths his way, but the check bought groceries and a new set of brushes. Whispers died down. If anything, the scandal boosted us both. Critics dubbed it the rivalry that redefined intimacy. We crossed paths at events, a queer art collective mixer in Chelsea, where he bought me a drink and we talked technique over thumping bass. His laugh surprised me. Genuine, unguarded, revealing a dimple I'd never noticed. "You ever model?" he asked once, eyes flicking over me appraisingly. Heat flushed my neck. "Only for the right price. Name it," he shot back, half joking, but the air crackled. Then came the commission, a joint mural for a Soho nonprofit, outlines of us celebrating queer resilience in the AIDS era. The director, a fierce dyke named Lena, insisted on us. "Your beef's box office gold," she said over Zoom. "Channel it." I wanted to say no, but the exposure, irresistible. And deep down, the proximity terrified and thrilled me. We started in a gutted loft, tarps down, walls primed white as surrender. First session, awkward as hell. Me in paint-splattered cargos, him in chinos that hugged like sin. We sketched outlines side by side, his lines fluid, mine jagged, discussing motifs in clipped tones. "Thorns work here," he suggested, gesturing to a central figure. "But softer. Less betrayal, more embrace." I snorted, dipping my brush. "Embrace? That's your wheelhouse, mister." Velvet glove. He paused, roller in hand, paint dripping like tears. "Not always. Dad bailed when I was 12. Left me with mom's breakdowns and a sketchpad. Painting's my armor too. Alex." The vulnerability hit like a sucker punch. I nodded, mute, watching his hands work the wall, sure strokes building depth. Sweat beaded on his brow, shirt clinging, and God, the way his fingers gripped the handle, knuckles whitening. I turned away, heat coiling tight. Breaks were worse. Shared playlists, his, Sufjan Stevens, mine, Frank Ocean. Cold sodas from a cooler, knees brushing under the drop cloth. One afternoon, thunder cracked outside, trapping us as rain lashed the windows. Power flickered, plunging us into gray light. "Storm's biblical," he murmured, wiping his face. We sat on the floor, backs to the wall, our mural looming like a third presence. "Yeah. Feels like Judgment Day." I risked a glance. His profile was sharp, softened by shadow. "Tell me something true," he said suddenly, voice low. "Why the hate? Really? Beyond the theft?" My throat tightened. Truth? How he'd invaded my dreams. Those hands on me, not canvas. How his success amplified my failures. My queerness a quiet rebellion against a Catholic upbringing in Queens. "You make it look easy," I admitted. Like breaking open isn't fatal. His hand found mine in the dimness. Not grabbing, just resting, palm up. Warm, calloused, an invitation. It is. Every time, I didn't pull away. Lightning flashed, illuminating us, two artists, rivals turned something unnamed, fingers intertwining like roots seeking soil. The rain didn't let up for hours, turning Manhattan into a watercolor smear, blurred taillights on wet pavement, umbrellas blooming like ink spots. Daniel and I stayed tangled in that loft, the mural forgotten, our conversation unfurling like a sketch left too long in the sun. His thumb traced lazy circles on my wrist, a rhythm that synced with my pulse, and for the first time, hate felt like a thin veil over hunger. "You ever think about it?" he asked, voice husky from disuse. "The storm's roar our only witness. Us, not as enemies." I swallowed, the air thick with ozone and unspoken want. "Every damn day. And it pisses me off," he chuckled, low and raw, shifting closer until our thighs pressed, heat bleeding through denim. "Good. Means it's real." Our first kiss was inevitable, messy, lips crashing like waves on jagged rock, tasting of salt and Gatorade from lunch. His hands, God, those hands, framed my face, fingers threading my hair, tugging just enough to arch my back. I gripped his shirt, knuckles white, pulling him down onto the tarp amid splatters of half-dry paint. We moved like the storm outside, frantic, elemental, bodies mapping each other with the urgency of artists racing the dawn. After, sprawled in the dim, his head on my chest, I traced the veins on his forearm, blue rivers under pale skin. "This doesn't fix anything," I whispered, guilt gnawing already. Zach and Caleb's warnings echoed. Conquerors, not truces. "It starts something," he murmured, pressing a kiss to my collarbone. "Let it." We kept it secret at first, stealing hours between mural sessions and solo gigs. Mornings in his Tribeca loft sleek, minimalist, worlds from my cluttered chaos, where he'd wake me with coffee and sketches of us asleep, lines tender and true. Afternoons tangled in my Astoria bed, paint-flecked sheets witnessing laughter and lazy fucks, his hands everywhere, kneading my shoulders after a long day, cupping my jaw during arguments over brush techniques. But secrets fester in New York, that petri dish of gossip. 2 weeks in, Zach cornered me at their Bushwick brownstone, Caleb hovering with a tray of chamomile, his anxiety ritual. "Spill, Alex," Zach said, collapsing onto the thrift store sectional, his tattooed arms crossed. "You've been MIA. Glowy, but dodgy." "Hail, isn't it?" I froze, mid-sip of tea, heat creeping up my neck. Caleb sat beside him, hand on Zach's knee, their synced ease a mirror to what Daniel and I were building. Fragile, fervent. "It's complicated." "Complicated how?" Zach leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "Last month you wanted to torch his gallery. Now you're what? Fuck buddies with benefits. Worse," I admitted, setting the mug down. "It's real. Messy real. He gets it, the art, the ache. No one's ever." Caleb's expression softened, but worry creased his brow. "Alex, babe, rivals to lovers? That's rom-com shit. Reality's messier. What if he breaks you?" "He won't." The words felt like a prayer, but doubt wormed in. Daniel's world was spotlights and sold-out shows. Mine, grant applications and ramen nights. Yet when he looked at me, sketching my profile with that intense focus, felt equal. Possible. Zach sighed, pulling me into a bear hug. Just protect your heart, man. We've got you if it implodes. It didn't implode, not then. The mural progressed, our styles bleeding together, my raw edges softening under his precision, his polish gaining my grit. Lena raved at walkthroughs, calling it electric synergy. Open house loomed in October. A queer art gala with donors and press are coming out in every sense. But cracks spiderwebbed early. A late September night, postfuck in his loft. Daniel's phone lit up on the nightstand. Unknown caller, but he snatched it quick, voice dropping low as he slipped into the bathroom. Yeah, it's done. Wired the deposit this morning. I strained to listen, heart sinking. Business, probably a commission. But the murmur dragged, no traces. Clean, paranoia bloomed, fed by old wounds. Jamie had lied like that, sweet nothings masking bar hookups. I dressed silent, waiting. He emerged, towel slung low, oblivious. Everything okay? Yeah. Lie tasted sour. Just thinking about the gala. You bringing a +1? His brow furrowed, but he grinned, pulling me back to bed. Only if it's you. Fuck the rumors. We went public at the after-party. A dimly lit speakeasy in the Lower East Side. Exposed brick. Velvet booths. Queer icons mingling with trust fund twinks. Daniel's arm around my waist felt like a claim. His fingers splayed possessively on my hip as we toasted with Manhattans. Zach and Caleb were there, dancing slow to a jazz cover of All of Me. Their joy infectious. Told you, Zach mouthed over Caleb's shoulder, winking. The high lasted until midnight, when a tipsy curator, Lena's rival from uptown, sidled up, slurring compliments. Daniel, genius as always. That mural, revolutionary. Heard you're expanding the series solo, Momo whisper. My stomach dropped. Solo? Daniel stiffened beside me, but played it cool. Rumors, darling. Alex and I are a package deal. She laughed, air-kissing his cheeks before vanishing into the crowd. His hand tightened on mine, but the seed was planted. Next morning, hungover in my apartment, I scrolled his email on my laptop, shared access for collaboration, buried in drafts. A proposal to MoMA, veins extended, pitched as his vision. My contributions, inspired consultations. No co-credit. Sent last week. Betrayal hit like iced water, cold, choking. I confronted him that afternoon in the loft. Printout crumpled in my fist. Solo? After everything, he paled, rake-thin fingers raking his hair. Alex, does not Lena suggested it. A solo pivot to leverage the buzz. You're in the acknowledgements. Acknowledgements. I hurled the paper, voice breaking. I'm your footnote now? Just like the sketches. His eyes flashed hurt, then steel. This is business. You think love pays rent? I fought for us. Told her no unless it looped you in long term. Lies. The word exploded, echoing Jamie's ghost. I grabbed my jacket, storming out into the crisp fall bite. Leaves skittered like accusations on the sidewalk. He caught me at the corner, grabbing my arm, those hands, traitors now, gripping too tight. Don't walk. Fight with me. I wrenched free, chest heaving. I did. And you sold me out. Blocks away, I collapsed on a bench in Washington Square Park, archway looming like judgment. Tourists milled, oblivious. A street fiddler played something mournful. My phone buzzed. Daniel, please. Coffee. Truth. I ignored it, dialing Zach instead. It imploded. He and Caleb swooped in an hour later, bundling me into their car for Bushwick Refuge. Over Caleb's killer lasagna, I spilled. The highs, the betrayal, the way Daniel's touch lingered like a bruise. Zach paced, furious. Call him out publicly. Drag his ass. Caleb, ever the mediator, squeezed my hand. Or talk. Real talk. Queerness teaches us, love's not linear. But trust, that's the canvas. I crashed on their couch. Dreams fractured. Daniel's hands dissolving into thorns, pricking my skin. The gala arrived like a guillotine. The loft thrummed. String lights twinkling. Champagne flutes clinking. Queer elders sharing stories amid our mural's glow. Daniel and I arrived separate. My choice, me in a thrifted velvet blazer. Him in tailored wool that screamed apology. Eyes tracked us. Whispers buzzing. Rivals? Lovers? Lena's speech gushed. Alex and Daniel. Proof friction forges fire. Applause thundered. But tension crackled between us. A live wire. Post-speech. He cornered me by the bar. Voice urgent. Read the fine print. It's ours joint exhibition next spring. I burned the solo pitch. I searched his face. Seeing the plea. The fear. Why lie? Didn't. Omitted. Afraid you'd bolt. His hand hovered near mine. Not touching. You're my truth. Alex. Hate me. But don't leave. The vulnerability cracked me. I nodded. Tentative. Slow. No more secrets. We kissed then. Public. Defiant. Lips soft. Hands linking. The crowd hooped. Zach hollering from across the room. But betrayal's shadow lingered. November brought chill winds and colder doubts. Daniel's schedule ballooned. Residencies. Panels. Texts lagged. Nights alone stretched. One evening, scrolling his Insta Live from a Miami art fair, glamour shots with collectors, I spotted it, a sketch in his case. Mine. Uncredited, but unmistakable. Rage boiled over. I showed up at his loft unannounced, pounding till he opened, disheveled, paint smeared. Miami? With my thorn study, he groaned, pulling me inside. It's a study. For us. Calm. Calm. I shoved him back, hurt erupting. You parade my work like a trophy while I'm here. Invisible. His face crumpled. Alex. Stop. It's not. Footsteps echoed from the hall. A door creaked. His studio guest room? Out stepped a guy, mid-20s, tousled brunette. Shirt half-buttoned. Eyes wide. Daniel? Everything okay? The world tilted. Not a hookup, too familiar. The easy lean against the frame. A collaborator? Worse? Alex. This is Riley. Daniel stammered. Color draining. Old friend from Pratt. Crashing while he's between gigs. Riley waved. Awkward. Hey. Big fan of your stuff. Man. I laughed. Hollow. Fan. Right. Grabbing my coat. I bolted. Daniel's calls chasing me down the stairwell. Outside. Sleet stung my face, mirroring the tear tracks. Old friend. Bullshit. The pieces fit. The late calls. The omissions. Another conquest. Another footnote. Zach and Caleb's that night. Emergency summit. Dump him, Zach growled, pouring whiskey. Queer heartbreaks are right. But this? Poison. Caleb hugged me tight. You're enough, Alex. Always were. But as I sobbed into his shoulder, Daniel's hands haunted. Once salvation, now shackles. Hate resurfaced. Sharper. Laced with love's razor edge. December in New York is a cruel mistress. Sidewalks glittering with black ice. Holiday lights mocking the hollows in your chest. I ghosted Daniel hard. Blocked numbers. Dodged galleries. Buried myself in solo work for a Bushwick pop-up. My pieces that month? Vicious. Canvases slashed with reds and blacks. Figures clawing from shadows. Titled Hands Off. Zach framed the show. Caleb handled the wine. They turned it into a queer haven. Drag queens lip-syncing to Ariana amid the chaos. Sales trickled enough for rent, and for a week, I breathed easier, convinced I'd exorcised him. Then Christmas Eve, a knock shattered the illusion. Snow swirled outside my window. The city hushed under white. I opened the door in ratty sweats, and there he was, Daniel, dusted in flakes, cheeks flushed from cold. No polished armor, just a wool peacoat over a threadbare sweater, hands shoved deep in pockets. Vulnerable. Wrecked. Alex, his voice cracked, breath fogging the air. Please. 5 minutes. Against every instinct, I stepped aside. The apartment felt smaller with him in it, his presence filling corners like paint overflow. He shed the coat, revealing hollows under his eyes, stubble shadowing that jaw. We stood awkward, me by the kitchenette, him near the easel where a half-done portrait glared back. His hands, abstracted into thorns. I fucked up, he started. No preamble. Riley, God. Alex is not what you think. He's my brother. Half-brother, actually. Dad's late life indiscretion. Showed up last month. Homeless. Desperate. I let him crash. Nothing else. Brother. The word deflated me. Rage whooshing out like air from a punctured tire. Relief warred with embarrassment. Me. Jumping to betrayal like a bad plot twist. But the hurt lingered. Dickie. Why not say, secrets again? He winced. Fingers flexing, habit. Plea. Shame. Family's my scar tissue. Dad left us for his, and now this ghost from his other life felt like weakness. Didn't want you seeing cracks. I crossed my arms, leaning on the counter. I see yours. Hell, I live in mine. That's the deal, or was. Still is. He stepped closer, tentative, stopping at arm's length. I pulled the Miami sketch. Told them it's yours. And the MoMA thing? I withdrew. All of it. No solo. No extensions. Just us. If you'll have it. The offer hung. Bro. Outside. A carol drifted. Oh, holy night. Ironic as fuck. I wanted to believe him. To let those hands bridge the gap. But trust. Once cracked. Leaks doubt. Prove it, I said finally. No words. Show. He nodded. Solemn. January. Your show in Bushwick. I'll be there. Not as rival. Not as lover. As support. I let him stay that night, not for sex, but solace. We curled on the couch under a threadbare blanket, his head on my shoulder, my fingers carding his hair as "It's a Wonderful Life" flickered on the ancient TV. His warmth seeped in, thawing edges, but sleep evaded me. What if this was the cycle? Hate to heat to hurt, rinse, repeat. New Year's dawned brutal. Hangover fog. Resolutions whispered like spells. Daniel kept his word, space, but not silence. Texts like breadcrumbs. Saw your pop-up promo. Proud. Riley's in a shelter program. Thanks for not hating him too. I replied sparse. Testing waters. Zach and Caleb hosted a queer rager. Fire escape fireworks. Bottomless mimosas. A playlist heavy on Troye Sivan. Daniel showed late. Slipping in quiet. Nursing a seltzer by the window. Our eyes met across the crush. He smiled. Small. Hopeful, no push. I gravitated anyway. Pulled by gravity. Happy New Year, he murmured, clinking his can to my flute. You came, silly, but true. Wouldn't miss fortifying the revolution. His gaze dropped to my hands, paint under nails and something softened. They're beautiful, you know. Yours. Heat bloomed. We talked shop till dawn. Failures, his bombed Yale thesis. Dreams, a queer artist commune upstate. By false light, he confessed more. First love, a summer fling with a lifeguard. Crushed by small-town bigotry. Coming out in a family that loved from afar. You're the first who sees the mess and stays, he said, voice thick. I cupped his cheek, thumb brushing stubble. Trying to. The kiss was slow, redemptive, tongues tentative, hands rediscovering paths. Zach caught us, wolf whistling from the kitchen. Get a room, lovebirds. Or don't. Caleb's got mistletoe in the fridge. January's Bushwick show was my triumph. Hands off, sold 3 pieces. Critics buzzing about Rivera's visceral queer rage. Daniel manned the door. Charming buyers. Deflecting questions about our dynamic with deflections that credited me. After close, amid cleanup, he pulled me into the back alley. Snow-dusted dumpsters. Stars pricking the smog. Proof enough? He asked, breath clouding. For now, I kissed him fierce, bodies aligning against brick. But as his hands roamed, sure, claiming, doubt whispered, how long till the next fracture? Spring thawed the city, greening parks and our rhythm. We cohabited tentative. His loft weekends, my studio weekdays, merging lives like pallets. Mornings, him brewing pour-over, me sketching his sleep-rumpled form. Evenings, debates over Thai takeout, his foot hooked round my ankle under the table. Zach and Caleb adored the evolution, double dates at Queer Bingo, where Daniel's competitive streak had us howling as he bingoed 2 TS with deadpan flair. He's a keeper, Caleb confided one night, post-dinner walk. But watch the power plays. Art world's a viper pit. He was right. April brought the MoMA curveball. Not rejection, but an invite for a joint retrospective. Hail Rivera. Rivals reimagined. Press drooled. Lena threw a launch party in the village. Fairy lights and finger foods. The high crashed mid-toast. A collector, oily, octogenarian, clapped Daniel's back, slurring, brilliant pivot, son. Ditching the sidekick for solo shine? Smart. Daniel's smile froze. My gut twisted. Sidekick? Later. In the bathroom line, I overheard 2 curators, Hales carrying Rivera. Without the drama, he'd fade. Rage simmered, but I swallowed it, for him, for us. That night, in bed, I confronted Soft. Am I baggage? He bolted up, horrified. No. God, no. You're the fire. They don't see, but they say. Tears pricked, unbidden. And part of me wonders. His hands framed my face. Urgent. Then let me show. Every day. He did. Cancelled a solo panel to co-teach my Pratt workshop. Shared his agent's contacts. Leveling the field. Love deepened. Layered. Lazy Sundays tracing tattoos. His. A thorned heart on his ribcage. Inked post-dad. Midnight confessions. My fear of fading into obscurity. His of being loved for fame alone. But May's heat wave brewstorm. A new rival emerged, not person, but opportunity. Daniel got scouted for a Berlin residency. 6 months. All expenses. Prestige gold. Come. He begged over falafel in Tompkins Square. We'll paint Europe red. I hesitated. Fork midway. My scene's here. Grants pending. Zach's collab show in June. His face fell, but he nodded. Then wait. It'll fly by. Doubt festered. Distance? After Jamie's vanishing act? Zach echoed it. Go if it's right. Stay if it's home. I stayed. He left in July. Airport kiss salt stung. His hands lingering on my neck, promising postcards and pixels. Separation sharpened edges. Calls crackled with static, literal, emotional. His tales of Berlin's techno clubs, queer raves where bodies blurred. Mine solo shows, lonely beds. Texts evolved, miss your hands. Miss your laugh. Then, radio silence, 3 days, then a week. Panic clawed. Zach hosted intervention brunch. Fly out. Confront. Caleb nodded. Or let go. Pain's the price of depth. I booked the flight. Red eye rage. Berlin greeted gray. Rain slick spree. Graffiti screaming rebellion. His flat was a third-floor walk-up in Kreuzberg, bohemian clutter. Canvases leaning like dominoes. I pounded. He opened. Shirtless. Paint smeared. Eyes widening. Alex? Fuck. I pushed past. Dropping my bag. A week. Daniel. Nothing. He closed the door. Hands up, surrender. Deadlines. The residency's intense. Shit. I thought space would help. Space. I whirled. Voice shattering. Or escape. From the sidekick weighing you down. His face crumpled. No. God. Never. He closed the gap. Hands on my arms. Grounding. Desperate. I froze. Berlin's this echo chamber. Praise. Pressure. Made me doubt if I deserved you. Tears hot on my cheeks. You do. We do. But secrets kill. We collapsed onto his bed. Bodies frantic, reclaiming, forgiving. Hands everywhere. His in my hair. Mine on his scars. After, tangled in sheets smelling of turpentine and him, truth spilled. There's more, he whispered, tracing my spine. Dad's back. Sick. Pancreatic. Wants reconciliation. The bomb dropped soft, but exploded. Family, the ultimate fracture. And I go. For Mom. But not without you. I nodded into his neck. Together. Summer waned. We returned tandem. His residency truncated for family. Zach and Caleb rallied potlucks, hospital vigils. Daniel's hands shook during Dad's chemo chats, but steadied on canvas, painting reconciliations, ghostly figures bridging voids, my influence in every stroke. August's heat peaked with crisis. Dad's decline accelerated. Daniel cracked. Nights pacing my apartment, whiskey-fueled rants. He left us broken. Now wants absolution. I held him, hands his anchor. Give what you can. Not for him, for you. The vigil was brutal. Hospice dim, monitors beeping dirge. Dad withered, wheezing, gripped Daniel's hand, eyes wet. Proud, son. Of the man. The art. The love. Daniel sobbed, collapsing into me. In that room, hate thawed not to forgiveness, but grace. Fall gilded edges. Dad passed in September. We scattered ashes in the Hudson at dawn. Daniel's hands releasing petals into the current release. Renewal. Back in the studio, our joint show prep hummed. But November's chill brought the ultimate test. A leaked email, Daniel's agent pitching a solo to LACMA. Post-Rivera phase. Betrayal. Round 3. I confronted in the loft. Printout trembling. Phase? I'm your expiration date. He blanched, snatching it. Sabotage. Agent's rogue. Fired her yesterday. Proof mounted. Timestamps. See seat retractions. But trust's thread frayed thin. Why believe? I whispered. Back to the wall. His hands cupped my face. Thumbs wiping tears. Because I choose you. Every fracture. Thanksgiving loomed like a loaded canvas, turkey and tension. Family facades cracking under scrutiny. We opted low-key. Zach and Caleb's Bushwick spread. Extended queer kin crammed around a table groaning with sides. Daniel arrived arms full. Cranberry relish from a recipe his mom texted. Eyes shadowed from grief's aftershocks. Peace offering, he joked, kissing my temple. The meal blurred warmth. Caleb's toasts to found families. Zach's bad puns eliciting groans. Daniel's hand found mine under the table. Fingers lacing. A quiet vow amid the clatter. But as pie circulated, my phone buzzed. Anonymous email. Subject truth behind the halo. Attachment. Screenshots. Daniel's old texts to Riley. Alex is intense, but temporary. Needs space to breathe. Dated August. Mid-Berlin. Gut punched. Temporary? I slipped to the fire escape. November wind biting. Scrolling feverish. Context? Berlin isolation. Pre-reconciliation. But word stabbed, he's fire, but burns. Solo's safer. Footsteps creaked. Daniel followed, concern etching his face. Alex? What's? I thrust the phone. Temporary. That's me. He scanned, paling. Riley. He screenshotted without, fuck. It was doubt talking, not truth. Berlin broke me open. I lashed out. Lashed. Laughter choked. Bitter. You boxed me as burnout. His hands reached, I flinched. Let me explain. No. I yanked away, descending to the alley. Snow flurried. First of season. Sticking to lashes. Zach found me minutes later. Coat over shoulders. Inside. Frostbites not festive. Caleb brewed cocoa. They listened silent as I vented. The leak. The pain. The pattern. He's not Jamie, Caleb said soft. But patterns? Yours to break. Zach nodded. Call bullshit. Or call it. I called Daniel, midnight voice. Wrecked. Meet me. Loft. Now. He arrived breathless. Snowmelt dripping. We faced off amid canvases, ours, joint scars. It was fear, he pleaded, voice raw. Dad's death. The pressure, I panicked. Thought you'd leave first. So you planned the exit? Tears hot, furious. No, he closed in, hands hovering. I chose you. Deleted the solo pitch. Wrote to Riley, Alex is forever. Screenshot it. He pulled his phone. Proof glowing, he's my north. Don't breathe a word. Sent September 10th. Wind howled outside. Inside. Walls closed. Why leak now? Agent's revenge. She's out. Blacklisted. His eyes searched mine. Desperate. Believe me, I wanted to, God. I did. But vulnerability terrified. Time. I need. Time. He nodded. Broken. Whatever it takes. December distanced us. Polite texts. Shared spaces avoided. I poured into art. A new series. Grasp. Hands in every form. Clenched. Open. Entwined. Severed. Zach's gallery hosted a teaser. Daniel attended incognito. Back row shadow. Leaving a note, your hands haunt me. As they should. Christmas redux. His mom's invite. Small gathering in Connecticut. Neutral ground. I went, armored in wool and wariness. She was steel-willed widow. Hands knotted from years of nursing. Eyes appraising. Over eggnog by the fire, she pulled me aside. He talks about you. In sleep, even. Don't let fear win. Dear. Daniel overheard. Later in the guest room, snow blanketing pines outside. She's right. His hands undressed me slow. Reverent, no demand. Just worship. Stay. I did. Skin to skin. We rebuilt. Whispers of sorry. Moans of more. Hands his language. Tracing apologies on my thighs. Promises on my chest. But January's gale force tested. MoMA retrospective open to raves. Crowds thronging our rivals' wall. Press dubbing it the queer power couple of canvas. High on champagne, we ducked to the loading dock for air, city hum below. Stars above. Then the call. Lena. Frantic. Leak your emails. Agent's vendetta. Pitches. Doubts all out. Headlines by dawn. Hale's hidden hand. Rivera as muse or millstone. Screenshots viral. Twisting his Berlin vents into sabotage narrative. Paparazzi swarmed the gallery. I fled to Zach's. Barricading. Caleb fielded calls. Zach raged. Sue the bitch. Daniel texted. Press conference. Together, we did. Flanked by lawyers. Faces composed. Art's messy, he said. Hand in mine for cameras. Like love. We're owning it. All of it. Backlash crested. Then ebbed, queer allies rallied. Hands united trending. But intimacy scarred. Nights I'd wake gasping. Convinced he'd slip away. February thawed literal ice. But emotional freeze lingered. A weekend upstate, his commune dream mended cracks. Cabin in the Catskills. Wood smoke. No signal. We hiked frozen trails. Hands gloved and linked. Talking futures. Kids? He mused. Breath clouding. Adopt. Maybe. Teach 'em thorns make roses. I laughed. First reel in weeks. Slow. Artist boy. But yeah, painting there. A diptych. Our hands merging mid-canvas. Mine rough. His refined. Colors bleeding union. March's bloom brought proposal. Not ring, but project. A non-profit mural in the Bronx. Queer youth center. Themes of resilience. We led workshops. Kids with markers and dreams. Eyes wide at our famous scars. One teen, Jamal, shy with a stutter, sketched trembling hands. Like yours, he said to Daniel. Strong, but scared. Daniel knelt, steadying the page. Scared's okay. Makes the strong real. That night, center after hours, we made love on a tarp amid supplies. Slow, sacred, his hands my world. But April showers deluged doubt. Riley resurfaced, clean, housed, but needy. Just coffee, Daniel promised. I nodded, but jealousy gnawed. He returned late, reeking of bar, not coffee. Riley spiraled. Needed ear, truth, but omission's ghost. All of it, oppressed. He sighed, deflating. Yeah. Relapse talk. Heavy. We fought. Words weapons. Always secrets. Always suspicion. He stormed out. I chased to the street. Rain sheeting. Daniel. He turned. Soaked. Anguish raw. I can't breathe. Alex. Every step. You're waiting for the knife. And you wield it. Sobs racked me. Love you. Hate this. He pulled me close. Rain mingling tears. Then fight through. With me. We did therapy. Queer couples group in Chelsea. Sessions stripped us. His abandonment wounds fueling control. My rejection scars breeding paranoia. Hands held across circles. We learned vulnerability's the boldest stroke. May's heat mirrored mending. Joint gallery in Soho. Intertwined. Hands motif exploding. Sculptures. Projections. Interactive walls where visitors traced their own. Opening night. Zach DJing. Caleb curating wine. Our mural from last year's centerpiece. Mid-toast. Daniel pulled me aside. Alcove dim. Marry this chaos? Ring simple. Silver band etched with thorns entwining. I choked yes. Kissing fierce. Summer solstice. Wedding small. Upstate meadow under oaks. Queer choir singing hosier. Vows. Your hands. My home. Zach best man. Caleb officiant, teary. Tender. Honeymoon. Road trip. Route 66 echoes. Motels with neon buzz. Deserts blurring. Hands his map. My compass. But autumn's equinox equaled equilibrium's test. October. Dad's estate settled. Inheritance windfall for Daniel. But strings. Family cabin in the Adirondacks. Urging reconciliation with estranged aunts. Visit fractured. Barbs over lifestyle. Whispers of influence on his decline. Daniel defended fierce. But drive home silent. Hands clenched on wheel. They're relics, he muttered. Fuck him. But it sticks. Covered his hand. The doubt. November now, current date. 2025. 1 year married. Scars silversmith forged. We're prepping a new series. Held. Hands in flux. Grasping. Releasing. Enduring. Last night. Post-argument over a missed deadline, his travel. My solo show. We lay spent. Bodies aligned. Hate you sometimes? I whispered. Half joke. He chuckled, fingers tracing my ring. Good. Keeps it desperate. His hands, still the only thing I crave, despite the rivals, the wrens. In them, hate transmutes, to hunger, to hold. Winter's grip tightened as 2025 crested. New York's skyline a jagged crown under gunmetal skies. Our loft, now truly ours, walls papered with intertwined clippings and kid sketches from the Bronx Center. Felt like a sanctuary, but even sanctuaries creak under weight. The new year brought accolades. A TEDx talk on queer art's thorns. Daniel's voice steady beside mine on stage. Hands clasped off mic for courage. But success amplified shadows. Whispers evolved from rivalry to symbiosis. Code for who carried whom. January's blizzard buried us in power out, candles flickering like hesitant confessions. We painted by lantern light, bodies paint smeared, turning the living room into abstract chaos. His hands on my waist, guiding a stroke intimate, infinite. This is us, he murmured, lips at my ear. Messy masterpiece, but February's thaw unearthed old bones. Riley called clean a year, but spiraling again. Can he stay? Daniel asked over dinner. Chopsticks paused midair. Thai basil chicken steamed between us, scent sharp as anxiety. I nodded, fork scraping plate. Family. Yeah. Riley arrived disheveled, duffel thumping, eyes hollow, gratitude mumbled. He crashed the guest room. A ghost haunting meals. Awkward silences. His gaze flicking between us like measuring fractures. One night, post-dinner dishes. I caught them in the studio. Daniel's arm around Riley's shoulders. Low words exchanged. Laughter followed, easy, fraternal. Jealousy spiked. Irrational. Temporary echo? Later, in bed, I voiced it. He looks at you like. More. Daniel's brow furrowed, hand stilling on my hip. Brother. Alex. Blood's complicated, but it's not us. I turned away, sheets cool. Just. Echoes. He pulled me back, spooning tight. You're the only echo I hear. March bloomed fragile. Our first anniversary. Low-key at Zach and Caleb's, now married too. Rings glinting as they served oysters and ouzo. Toasts flowed. Zach's ribbled, to hands that hold and hurl. Caleb's soft, to fractures that fortify. Daniel gifted me a custom brush set. Handles carved with our initials entwined. I gave him a sketchbook. Pages prepped with prompts. Hands in rain. Hands in rage. Hands in redemption. April's rains tested resolve. A major collector, the octogenarian from MoMA, offered Daniel a commission. Private portrait series. Intimate portraits. Queer icons only. Solo, he said over croissants in bed. Eyes bright. But dedicate to you. Excitement warred with wariness. No footnotes. Co-credited. Always. His kiss sealed it. Hands promising. But prep consumed. Models. Sittings. Late nights. I supported, posing as reference. Mixing palettes, but isolation crept. Zach noticed at poker night. You're fading, bro. Art worlds devouring. Caleb nodded. Dealing cards. Boundaries. Or it'll boundary you out. May's heat pressed. Riley extended stay. Job hunting. Tension simmering. One evening, I returned early. Loft dim. Voices from studio. Peeking. Riley sketching Daniel's hand. Intense focus. Daniel's laugh. Steady now. like Alex taught. Gut twist. I backed out, heart hammering, fleeing to Zach's for bourbon and breakdown. Betrayal 2.0? Zach asked, ice clinking. Worse. Familiar. Tears burned. I'm the echo now. Caleb hugged fierce. Talk. Or torch. I torched. Confronted Dawn, bursting in post-jog. Daniel, shirtless, coffee-mugged, startled. Alex, Riley's lesson? Your hands. His muse. Words tumbled, venom-laced. He set the mug down. Careful. What? No, he's practicing. For his own work. You. Liar's echo. I grabbed my bag, fleeing instinct. He blocked the door. Hands up. Wait. See. He dragged me to the studio. Riley's pad open, dozens of hands, all mine. Abstracts. Portraits. Thorns soft. Therapy, Daniel explained. He idolizes you. Your rawness. Riley emerged. Sheepish. Sorry, man. Didn't mean invade. Deflation hit. Apology choked. Idiot reflex. We laughed. Ragged trio bonding over takeout. Riley spilling. You too? Goals. Messy. Real goals. June's solstice sun gilded growth. Commission thrived. Daniel wove my motifs. Subtle swirls in portraits. Crediting, inspired by AR. Pride Month parades we marched. Hands linked. Rainbow flags whipping. But July's dog days dug deep. Dad's aunt, estate holdout, sued over wasted inheritance, claiming Daniel's lifestyle voided clauses. Lawyers lunched turned battlegrounds. Stress etched his face, hands trembling on briefs. Nights, he'd pace, I'd pull him to canvas. Paint it out. One storm-lashed evening, thunder rumbling, he snapped, easy for you, no ghosts clawing back. Hurt flared. My ghosts? Jamie, obscurity their daily. He deflated, sinking to knees. Sorry. Drowning. I knelt too, hands framing his face. Together. Always. August's heat broke with resolution. Settlement 1. Cabin deeded to us. Legacy, not liability. Fall foliage framed renewal. Adirondacks retreat. Cabin ours. We hiked. Sketched lakeside, hands in every frame. His on birch bark, mine on wildflowers. September's equinox equaled equilibrium. Bronx Center expanded, our murals inspiring satellite sites. Jamal's first show, Hands theme, dedication to A&D, grasp the dream. October's chill crisped air, retrospective anniversary gala loomed. Press hounded, rivals to icons, lasting, Daniel's interview quip, loves the ultimate abstraction. Hands held through the haze. November 16th, 2025, today. Morning light slants our loft, gilding the rooftop view, Hudson glittering, skyline sharp. Daniel's in the kitchen, hands deft with pancakes, flipping, plating, humming Bowie. I watch from bed, sketchpad idle. Hate, a memory, transmuted. His hands still desperate want, but now necessity. Mapping mornings, mending midnights. He brings the tray, balancing syrup and smiles. Fuel for the chaos? I pull him down, lips brushing knuckles. For us, afternoon, gallery walkthrough, held, installation humming, visitors tracing interactive hands, lights pulsing with heartbeats. Zach and Caleb arrive, arms linked, Baby bump announced, Caleb's glow radiant. Godparent duties? Zach grins. Daniel's hand on my back. Double. Evening falls soft. Dinner with Riley thriving. Own studio. Toasts to thorns turn tapestries. Midnight rooftop our ritual. City sprawls below. Sirens symphonies. Rain threatens, but holds. Daniel's hands cup mine. Rings clinking. Still hate me? He teases. Quartz eyes twinkling. Desperately want you. Kiss seals it. Deep. Enduring. Humanity's arc. Not perfection, but persistence. In his hands, I find grace, rivals fire forged to lover's light. New York endures, so do we.